Good morning, my plant-loving friends. Welcome to your Daily Plant Pulse, a podcast-styled series rooted in my deep fascination with plants. Here, plants go through a plant pulse research protocol where we uncover fascinating insights from scientific studies and share them with you. All studies I review are sourced in the description. I'm not a doctor, just someone who loves to research plants and present what I find. Our 9-part series takes you from an introduction to the plant through amazing studies and even an occasional bonus episode. Be sure to check out our Plant Pulse playlist where all of our episodes on all plants will be. And when a plant profile review is complete, explore our Living Library playlist for an in-depth consolidated review. We dig deep into history, forgotten studies, and untold stories so plants can have a voice and their story can be told. Welcome to episode 8, where we explore the many ways plants support our world beyond food and medicine. We'll focus on 3 key takeaways: environmental and soil benefits, ecosystem and wildlife support, and practical or industrial applications. Along the way, we'll touch on the many other uses there may be as well. There's more to plants than meets the eye, and keep an eye out for extensions, as plant applications are always evolving, appearing as 8.1, 8.2, and so on for various plant species. So let's get digging. Today we're going to be diving into one of the most underrated prepper crops in the tropics, Dioscorea, the yam genus that includes wild yam, water yam, and Chinese yam, and more. If you're thinking long-term food security, off-grid resilience, or climate-adapted gardening, this plant deserves your full attention. So let's start with numbers. Dioscorea alata, or the water yam, and D. roundata, the white yam, can produce 10 to 30 tons per hectare under optimal conditions. That's comparable to cassava and sweet potato, but with better drought tolerance and longer storage life. When properly cured, yam tubers can last 4 to 6 months in ambient conditions. That's a huge advantage in tropical regions or off-grid setups where refrigeration isn't always an option. Yams produce aerial bulbils, root cuttings, or tuber fragments. This means you don't need fancy equipment or seed banks, just a healthy plant and time. It's ideal for community resilience and backyard propagation. Nutritional density also exists in yams. They're rich in complex carbohydrates, potassium, manganese, and resistant starch. They offer slow-release energy, support gut health, and have a low glycemic index, perfect for the survival diets and daily sustenance. From boiled and roasted yam to fermented flour and porridge, Dioscorea fits into dozens of cultural dishes in West Africa. It's pounded into fufu in Asia. It's grated raw into soups or turned into desserts. While yams offer incredible benefits for human food security and nutrition, their value doesn't stop in the kitchen. Even the parts often considered waste can play a powerful role, particularly when it comes to feeding livestock efficiently, sustainably, and cost-effectively, which is another valuable thing for a prepper. So today we're reviewing 2 separate studies, one with boiler chickens and the other with red Sokoto goats in Africa. These studies explored a shared question: can yam byproducts typically discarded as waste be transformed into effective, affordable livestock feed? The answer, backed by 8-week feeding trails in both species, is a resounding yes. For poultry, researchers tested yam tuber waste meal as a partial replacement for maize, the primary energy source in broiler diets. For goats, the focus was on yam peel meal as a substitute for maize. Both studies aimed to reduce feed costs, manage agricultural waste, and maintain or improve animal performance. So, Let's break down some real-world studies on how yam byproducts can benefit livestock. Researchers conducted an 8-week study on 220-day-old broiler chicks, dividing them into 4 diet groups to test the effects of yam waste in poultry feed. The control group received 44% maize with 0% yam waste, while the other groups were fed diets containing 12, 22, or 32% yam waste, replacing part of the maize. The results showed that chickens on diets with 22 to 30% yam waste grew faster and converted feed into body mass more efficiently. No toxic effects were observed at any inclusion level. Meat yield, including both dressing percentage and livestock weight, was significantly higher in the yam-fed groups, and cost analysis demonstrated economic benefits without negativity affecting daily feed intake or feed efficiency. A parallel study examined 18 male red Sokoto goats, each averaging approximately 11.66 kilograms, which were fed for 8 weeks at 3% of their body weight per day. Diet groups included a control with 0% yam powder meal, a 50% yam powder meal group, and a 75% group. Goats fed the 50% yam powder meal diet exhibited the highest daily weight gain at 5 grams a day and achieved the best feed conversion ratio of 6.75. Even at the 75% inclusion, no adverse effects were observed. Nutrient analysis revealed increased crude protein and mineral content in the yam peel meal diets, supporting better health and overall growth. To understand these results, it's helpful to look at the measurements used. Weight gain measured in grams per day. This directly indicates growth speed. Goats on 50% yam peel meal gained approximately 35% more than controls, and chickens on 22 to 32% yam waste grew faster than those on maize-heavy diets. Feed conversion ratio, expressed as the ratio of feed consumed to body weight gained, was lower in the yam-fed groups, indicating more efficient feed use. Feed intake, measured in kilograms per day, or as a percentage of body weight, showed no significant differences among goat groups, and chickens consumed similar amounts across diets. Carcass yield, including dressing percentage and live weight, was higher in chickens fed yam waste. Nutrient composition analysis confirmed that yam peel meal increased protein and mineral content in goat diets. That's a statistical significance of p-value 0.05. That indicates these results are unlikely to be due to chance. And economic analysis showed that yam diets reduced feed costs without compromising performance. In summary, both studies demonstrate that yam byproducts, whether tuber waste for chickens or peel powder for goats, can improve growth, enhance feed efficiency, increase nutrient intake, and provide economic advantages, all without toxicity or negative effects. Now, before we wrap up, let's touch on one of the most exciting developments in the yam world, yam powder. Dehydrated and milled yam has exploded in popularity for health-conscious consumers, preppers, and sustainable food enthusiasts. Yam powder retains nearly all of the nutritional benefits of the fresh tuber, including resistant starch, potassium, and complex carbohydrates. While being lightweight, shelf-stable, and easy to transport, this makes it perfect for long-term storage, emergency rations, or off-grid meal prep. The market for yam powder is growing rapidly. Industry reports estimate that the global yam powder market is expanding at a compound annual growth rate of over 8% and is expected to surpass 450 million by 2030. The surge is driven by increased demand for functional foods, plant-based diets, and convenient nutritional dense alternatives to traditional flours, which are often sprayed with poisons and are contaminated. What makes this growth even more remarkable is the current economic climate. Even as many sectors are pulling back right now due to the economy pressures of, worldwide changes, the yam powder market continues to expand, highlighting its resilience and the strong consumer interest in sustainable, nutrient-rich foods. For preppers, gardeners, and entrepreneurs, yam powder isn't just a backup food. It's a growing opportunity in both personal resilience and the emerging health food market. And here's where the opportunity gets even bigger. The U.S. imports most of its yams, but several regions have the climate and soil to grow them domestically. This opens the door for local cultivation, economic resilience, and supply chain independence, especially in the rising market of yam powder. Despite the rising demand for yam powder and true yams, the majority of yams consumed in the United States are imported, often from West Africa, the Caribbean, and Latin America. This reliance on foreign supply chains makes the market vulnerable to shipping delays, climate disruptions, and price volatility. But here's the good news. Certain U.S. regions are already producing yams, and others could easily join them. North Carolina leads the pack, producing over 60% of the country's yams, thanks to its sandy soil and warm climate, especially in the eastern part of the state. Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, and parts of Florida also show promise, particularly for species like Dioscorea alata and Dioscorea villosa, which thrive in humid subtropical zones. Wild yam species like Dioscorea villosa are native to the central and eastern U.S., from Minnesota to Texas, and can be cultivated in open woodlands or along forest edges. For gardeners, regenerative farmers, and food entrepreneurs, this presents a compelling opportunity. Growing yams locally can reduce import dependence, tap into the expanding yam powder market, cultivate species adapted to your region, and contribute to food security and biodiversity. Whether you're in Florida or the Carolinas or parts of the Midwest, yam cultivation could be your next high-impact move, especially if paired with dehydration and powdering to create a shelf-stable, value-added product. Together, these studies reveal a powerful truth. What we throw away could be feeding the future. Yam peels and tuber waste, once considered kitchen or farm waste, have proven to be safe, nutritious, and economically viable feed alternatives for both poultry and goats. By integrating yam byproducts into livestock diets, farmers can rest assured the yam will feed them. They can cut feed costs without sacrificing animal health and productivity, improve nutritional density in the meat. Communities can also reduce agricultural waste, turning it into a valuable resource. The livestock sector can move forward towards circular, sustainable farming systems that nourish animals and protect the planet. As a global demand for animal protein rises, innovations like this offer a hopeful path forward, and one where resilience, affordability, and environmental stewardship grow together. That wraps up today's Plant Pulse, another look at how plants touch every part of our lives in ways far beyond medicine. I'm grateful you joined me for this exploration. If something sparked your curiosity, or if you've used this plant in your own creative or practical ways, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if you're enjoying these deep dives, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd appreciate the journey. Together, we're rediscovering the many gifts each plant offers. Until next time, let every moment bear fruit. The Pulse continues.